Okay, so in the first video in this series, I talked about how to install all the Python tools. And in the second video, we saw how to use Unity to train and to get these balls to do, these platforms to do what we wanted them to do. In this video, I want to take a little look under the hood and understand how they programmed it and how you could program yours. So I'm going to start with their documentation here, and let's just briefly go through it. So this says ML Agents Overview, and they have a nice discussion here. Here's a diagram, and it says the learning environment contains 3 additional components: agents, brains, and academy. Every agent will have 1 academy and 1 agent for every character. While each agent can be linked to a brain, it can be possible for multiple agents to be linked to the same brain. So I think this is a good picture. This is the academy, and so, or let me start here. So you have an agent, and this agent is getting information from the scene. For example, the position of the ball. And it's going to feed some information to the brain, and then the brain is going to give it to this unit called the academy, and here's where the training is going to take place with the Python TensorFlow. And then there's information that's going to come back. So basically the agent is going to say, here's the position of the ball, here's the position of the platform. I'm sending you this information to do a computation. And then this guy is going to send it off to the academy. Academy is going to send it off to TensorFlow. TensorFlow is going to return a recommendation. This is what I think you should do. This recommendation goes back to the brain and then goes back to the agents, and the agent is responsible for actuating the information. There are 3 different categories of brains. One is a learning, that's machine learning, trained with TensorFlow. One is a player, that's you'll control it. So in a way that's not really a brain. And heuristic, that means you're going to program it based on logic, not machine learning. And here's a more general picture. You can have several brains, several agents. Okay, so that seems promising. And next, let's here, let's go to this. Okay, so this is this useful? Yeah, this is all useful. Let me now go back to Unity, and let's try to work our way through this. So here's the Ball3D Academy. So whenever you do machine learning, you'll have 1 academy, and the academy says, here's the brain that I'm going to use. And remember last time it had this control parameter. And it also has certain configurations about training. I don't think we generally need to worry about these. So actually the academy isn't really a big deal, at least so far. You can see if you open the script, there's really nothing there. So the academy is there, but it doesn't seem too interesting. Okay, so let's look at this platform. And what you can see is that there's an agent attached to the platform. The way to attach to that agent is to go Assets, Create, ML Agents, and then you, or actually I'm not, maybe if you add component here, if I say agent, I think I could add a basic agent, something like that. Okay, and then here's the brain that we'll use, and then here's some parameters for the agent. Okay, so let's start by looking at the brain. So we see that every thing that I want to control with machine learning will have an agent. Okay, and the agent will have a brain. So let's look at the brain. Here's the player brain, and you can see this is defined as a player brain. It has no parameters. It has 8 inputs and 2 possible actions. And here the 2 actions are defined. You can either move horizontal or vertically. I'll talk about the 8 inputs in a little bit. So here's a learning brain. This has no parameters either. It has 8 inputs, 2 outputs, and a model associated with it. Earlier we looked at a model, so this would be the specific parameters. So actually it looks pretty easy to define a brain. So that wasn't hard. And the last thing we want to look at is this agent. So where's my this is the brain. Hold on for a second. I know I saw the agent program somewhere. Here it is. It's kind of hard to see that. This is the script. So this is going to be interesting. And this seems to be the most challenging part, perhaps, right? I mean, you saw the brain was pretty easy and the platform was pretty easy. But here's the agent. So let's look at what we do here. This public class sort of extends the agent class. So you can see there's a lot of overrides. So basically the agent is sort of has all these methods, and now we're going to override them to get the desired result. So it takes sort of input will be the ball and the ball rigid body. You initialize it, and you set this ball RB equal to the specific ball that we're working with. That seems reasonable. And then these are the observations. So these are the observations that's going to be passed on to the brain. So it's going to say the rotation angles, the ball position, the difference between the ball position and the game object, that's a 3-dimensional vector, and the ball velocity, that's a 3-dimensional vector. So you see in total we have 8, these each have 3, so 8 elements that we're going to pass. And earlier I mentioned that there were 8 elements in the brain that it's going to get. So we kind of understand that. So this is called collect observations. Here's the action. And what here? What we see here is that the brain is going to return 2 actions. And this guy's going to interpret those actions and turn it into these rotations. It's going to transform these a little bit because it'll make sure that it's a valid thing to do and scale it properly. So that all seems all right. In here we have the reward as well. So it says, so this shows how the action is going to, what the game should do in response to the action. And here, this shows what, so if you're too far away, you're done. You've lost, essentially. So you get a crappy reward. Otherwise, they're still in the game, so you get a nice reward. If the game is over, this would happen when it's done, I guess. So when you're done, go back to your original position, reset everything, and let's play again. And that's about it, you know. And so with this, you could build your own training. There's one more piece to the puzzle. I'll just show you this. I don't think it's a particularly important piece, but if you go to config and this trainer config YAML, this sets certain neural network parameters. They don't seem to be that critical, so you can see they're kind of the same for each one. So I'm not too worried about that. Seems like you could almost copy and paste it. So that's sort of the deal. And so with this, if I gave you a game, you could, in fact, put an agent on it, set up a brain. It wouldn't be hard. One thing that I still haven't showed is how the machine learning specifically works. And I'm not sure how much I'll get into that. I mean, what we're saying here is that they've figured out how to do a neural network and get it all working, and that's fine. And I guess if you're interested, you can go and look at how they do it. It's this PPO algorithm, but you don't need to. You could do all this, set up your agent and set up your brain without a deep understanding of how the neural network itself is working. And yeah, it's kind of nice, depending on how much you care about it. I mean, it's happening under the hood, but you don't need it. Okay, so hopefully that gives us a good understanding of what's going on there. Thank you for listening.